Hey everybody, and welcome to the Creative Kindergarten Podcast, episode number 4, my top 5 iPad apps for kindergarten. So one of my favorite topics to discuss in kindergarten is actually using technology with kindergarten students. So I love integrating our iPad into different literacy and math centers, into inquiry and science. It is a great way to bring our students connected to the topics that they're learning because they love learning with technology, and using iPad apps is a great way to make that connection between the students and the skills that you're trying to teach them. So I'm going to go through my top 5 apps that I use almost daily in our kindergarten classroom and talk a little bit about how we use them and why you should be looking into using them too. The first one that I really like to use in our classroom is boom cards. If you've never seen or heard of boom cards, they are actually paperless. The first app that we love to use in our classroom is actually boom cards. So if you've never heard of boom cards before, they're actually paperless task cards. They're self-correcting. They have boom cards for basically any skill that you could want to work on with your kindergarten students, and it's all easily accessible to students on their iPads. So a little bit more about what boom cards are in case you do not know how to use them. So they are digital task cards that students can use on any device that you have available to you in your classroom. So they can be used on a computer, on an iPad, on a tablet, on a Chromebook, on any kind of device that you have access to. First thing that you have to do is, I would suggest as a teacher using boom cards on your computer. It's just easier to navigate it than using the app on an iPad. I always start off by going onto my computer and searching through the decks, searching decks that I want to use with the skill that we're currently teaching in our classroom. They have them for any kind of literacy skills, any kind of math skills, any kind of science skills. There's a search engine, you can search them. Some of them are paid, so you can pay for certain decks, but there are lots of free decks available if you just want to try them out and see if they work for your kindergarten classroom first. So once you've found the deck of cards that you would like to use, you have a few different choices of how you can use them with your students. You can decide to make an account and have your class list, and each student will get their own individual account that they can track their boom card usage on, and you can look to see like if they've done a good job on their boom cards, if maybe there's a skill they need more work on. To be honest, I don't think I've ever really used that one with our students. I usually use their quick access code. So whenever you get a boom card, there's a little drop down menu and you can get a quick access code. And then students just use that whenever they go onto the iPad or the computer. They can just type in that code and the boom cards will come up. It doesn't track their right or wrong answers or anything like that, but it is just a fast and easy way to set up a center if you don't need to do any assessments on the skills that you want to use with the boom cards. So once you've selected the deck that you want the students to use, all they have to do is get to the deck either through their login or using the quick access code, and all the boom cards just come up and they go through. And some boom cards are different. There's drag and drop boom cards. There's boom cards that are just yes or no answers. There's boom cards that read to them. There's a wide range for you to choose from that are available that you can decide what best fits your class. And they're self-correcting. So if they get the right answer, it tells them they got the right answer and it'll let them go to the next slide. And then if they don't have the right answer, it'll stop them and it'll make them find the right answer. So they're completely self-correcting, that you don't have to make sure if they got the answer right or not. It's all done within the boom cards themselves. So that makes it fantastic. That is my first app, boom cards. I do have some boom card sets in my Teachers Pay Teachers store. If you want to check it out, I'll make sure the link is put in the show notes for you. It's just a really fun way I found to teach different skills, to review skills. And if you just need a center to put them out, we have 6 iPads available to us in our classroom. I will put the quick access code on a card, put all the iPads at a table, and once you show the students how to use it one time, it's just a quick center that you can always just set out because the students just know what to do once they get there. The next app I'd like to talk to you about is the Epic app. So this is an app that has thousands of books that are available for you to read for free as an educator. It is an amazing app that I am so glad I found a few years ago. It allows you to create a listening center, to do read alouds with your students, to have a reading center, all at the children's fingertips without having to change CDs or tapes or finding different books for them to read. It's all right there for them. As an educator, you get a free account that your students can just use. You can add their names to them and decide if you want students to have access to certain books, to certain genres. You can do all that and customize it. What I usually do is that I just create one account that all students go on. It just makes it easier. Just like the boom cards, the easier it is for you, the better, the less chances is that the students don't know how to use it and are coming to you for their passwords or for any kind of access to the app. So the easier you make it for your students, the easier it is for yourself. So I just make one account and students just click on it and then they have access to all kinds of books digitally. There are read aloud books. So I teach our students that, I think it's green, the little tab that says read aloud. So I say, if you don't want to read a book and you want to listen to a book, find books that have a green tab, and that way the book will be read to them. So I give them headphones and they can just sit down and listen to books, and it highlights the words as it's reading them so that students are still associating the words that are being read to them even though they're not reading. The students are also getting really good at searching for books by the end of the school year, searching for books that they really wanted to read. So one child was really wanting to read Pete the Cat stories, so he was searching for Pete the Cat. So once our students know how to use this technology, they're really able to use it to make it their own and really do their own learning, and I love seeing that part of it. I have been asked a few times if Epic Books has books in French, and they do. I don't know how extensive the library of French books is, to be honest. I've never looked that deeply into it, but I have seen some French books and I have known some French educators that were really excited about this app too. So that's another thing to look into. Even if you do teach a French class, you can also look to see if there's you can also see if there's books that are available for your students in there. Another way that I love to use Epic Books is when we're teaching a subject or an inquiry and we can't find books at the library, or if that's just a spontaneous, all of a sudden there's worms outside and the children want to learn more about worms, there's books at your fingertips. I connect it to the overhead projector and we can do read alouds of books anytime we have an interest in them. So that has been fantastic. You don't have to run to the library. You don't have to be looking on Chapters or Amazon for books. You don't have to be going out of your way to search online to see if you can find it at any of the local libraries in town and driving around trying to find the book. It's all right there. And they have some really popular books too that your students will absolutely love. So Epic Books is definitely one of the most used apps in our classroom. You can set up a whole listening center that students can go to. You can use it as a center during your literacy times, or you can use it just as read alouds when you're teaching a class. The next app I wanted to talk to you about is an app called Poppet. It's one that I've used a lot during our classroom inquiries. You can use it as a whole group, or you can have students create their own by themselves. So I'll tell you a little bit more about what it is in case you've never heard of Poppet, which I don't think a lot of educators have. It's basically a way to create mind maps really simply. So you usually start with one, they call them poplets, one little poplet in the center of the page, and you would put your topic in it. So let's say we're learning about apples, I would put in the middle apples. And then you can create a mind map with different sections, different poplets that come off of the main one. And you can create charts or have students create their own charts about what they know about apples, what they want to know about apples, questions they might have, or lines of inquiry. And you can create these huge mind maps on this device. We've used them as whole groups instead of using chart paper and sitting in front of a class with the chart paper. I've actually used it on the projector and created a class mind map of a topic that you want to learn about, or that the students really are engaged in. And then once you create your own mind map as a whole group, you can actually have students go to tables and create mind maps on their own. You can take pictures within the app so they can add pictures to their poplets. You can draw so they can add their own drawings. And if they can also type into the poplets themselves and create titles and tags for each of the poplets that they put in there. It's just a great way for students to show their thinking and to really share what they've been learning about a certain topic. I've used it as a mind map, but I've also seen other people use it as a list. So they'll create multiple vertical lists. So they'll have the main Poppet at the top and then have other Poppets going down from it. And you can add multiple lists to the same slide. I really like this app just as a way for students to be able to show their learning and to show what they know, or to even find out what they want to know more about. So it's just a fantastic app all around. You can use it for free. There is a paid version that lets you save the Poplets. Usually what I do, I don't pay for it. What I do is I have students put a little Poppet off to the side with their name on it, and you can save the whole thing as a JPEG, and then I just transfer it to my computer and I print them out, or I put them online for parents to be able to see. I've never paid for it. I know somebody who has, and it's just if you do pay for it, if you have multiple classes, it's a great way to save all the students' work if they want to come back to it, because with the free version, you can't save it and come back to it later. Whatever they create in that moment, if they erase it and the next student wants to go on it, they won't be able to go back to the last Poppet. There are two more apps I want to talk to you about, and I've kind of used these two apps for literacy and math centers, and these are another two apps that our kids become really great at using and don't need a lot of support with once I show them. So the first one is called Chatterpix. So Chatterpix is just a really easy to use app that you can literally show your students how to use in 5 minutes or less. What you do is you get your iPad, it's an iPad app, or I think it's available on tablets too. You take a picture of whatever you want to be able to showcase your knowledge of. So we've used it before with, let's say, 3D shapes. So they take a picture of something that's in the shape of a sphere. They'll take a picture of it, and then within the app, it'll allow you to draw a line where you want the mouth to be. And then once you have that mouth drawn, students can record their voices, and once it's recorded, the mouth on the object will actually move along with what they're saying. So if they take a picture of a sphere, they draw their mouth, and then they can record themselves saying, I am a sphere. I have 0 edges, 0 vertices, 0 sides. I can be a ball. And then once they stop recording and they hit play, the picture of the sphere itself talks back to them saying what they had just recorded. It's really just fantastic for them to show what they know about 3D shapes. You can do 2D shapes, sight words, you can do math sentences, you can do so many different things. You can do science topics. If they take a picture of an apple, I'm going back to my example of an apple, they can take a picture of an apple and tell you all about what they know about the life cycle of an apple. It's just a fantastic way for students, again, to be able to show you what they're learning and what they have learned, or things that they're really interested in. Sometimes if we just have the app available to our students, or just the iPads available to our students, they'll open the app and start taking pictures around the classroom of things that they really want to talk about, like a picture of a unicorn, and then they're talking about unicorns. It's just a great way to get them talking and thinking and expressing their knowledge about the world around them, where you don't have to be sitting next to them to listen to it, because they can save it and you can just go back to it later. That was Chatterpix, and it is one of those fantastic apps that can just be used all year round. Once you've taught it to them, believe me, they'll know how to use it. It won't take you long. And the last app I wanted to talk to you about today is another app that we use from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. Students love it. It's called Draw and Tell. And there's multiple ways you can use this app, and you just have to be careful to make sure you tell your students how you want them to use it, so that they don't get off task and start using it in a way that maybe you didn't intend for them to use it in the first place. There is an option to just do coloring sheets on it, and they can do coloring sheets and color in certain pictures that they have available to them. I've found in the past, our students have gone and started doing coloring sheets instead of how we intended them to use it. And so you just kind of have to keep an eye on it and make your intentions with the app clear before you get started. If they're just using the iPads during free choice time and they found a coloring sheet they wanted to do, we would let them do it then. But if we're doing a math or a literacy activity, you want to just make sure they know that that is the activity that the app is being intended for, and not just a coloring station. What our students usually start off with is just a blank sheet of paper. They have different pattern backgrounds that your students can use too, but I just show them how to use the blank one. And then they can draw a picture of anything they want on that blank sheet of paper. So if you are doing a unit on addition, you might have them do an addition story. I've done this before in the past, and our students have absolutely loved this. What they can do is decide what their addition story is going to be. Maybe it's there are 3 birds in a tree, 2 more birds come into the tree, and now we have 5 birds in the tree. what they can do is they can use all the drawing tools. There's pencils and crayons and paint and all kinds of nice things for them to use. They can choose colors to make their background picture. And so they draw the grass and the trees and the sky. And then there's also the sticker option where there's stickers of different animals and people that they can add into their picture. So they might put 3 stickers of birds in the tree and then have 2 flying off in the sky. Once they hit record, they can actually manipulate the stickers around their page and record their voice while they're doing that. And then once you go to rewatch it, you will actually see in the video the stickers moving, how the students move them around. So if they did the bird story, they could have the 3 birds already in the tree and then have the other 2 birds off to the side. And then as they're telling their addition story, move those 2 birds into the tree. And so it's a great way for them to show their knowledge of addition skills. You can obviously do that with subtraction, but you can do it with any skill really that you can think of. We've had students when they're working on sight words, write the sight word. So let's say it's they can write the sight word and illustrate a sentence with the sight word in it. The birds are in the tree. I'm going to keep using birds. And once they hit record, they can say the birds are in the tree. So they're using the sight word, they're writing the sight word, they're using it in a sentence, and they're also illustrating the sentence that they just made. So it's a great literacy center, math center. It's perfect all around. To go over it one more time, my top 5 kindergarten apps are Boom Cards, Epic, Poppet, Chatterpix, Draw and Tell. Those are really the top 5 that I use throughout the school year. We obviously use other apps on our iPad, but those are the 5 that I find I'm going back to over and over again and that our students really love. If you have any other apps that you think I need to know about and check out, make sure you reach out to me. I'm always looking for new ways to integrate technology into learning centers with our kindergarten students. So make sure that you either reach out to me on Instagram. I'm at Creative Kindergarten Blog on TPT. Very long Instagram handle. I didn't have a choice in that. Or you can find me on Facebook. I also have a blog, creativekindergartenblog.com, and there's a contact form on there. Reach out to me. Tell me, what are your top 5 iPad apps? Maybe you don't have 5. Maybe you have one that you really like and you're always looking for new ones. Make sure you reach out to me. I'd love to hear them and check them out. Next episode, I will be talking to you about working with a partner. As an early childhood educator in a full-day kindergarten classroom, I have worked with a teaching partner for 5 years, and I've had some amazing experiences with my teaching partners that I've had over this time. And so I'll be sharing with you my tips and experiences in my next podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you guys next time.